The next few hours, each one of you has been invited here tonight for this special evening. Specifically, you were chosen, and each one of you will experience your own personal breakthrough tonight within the next few hours. There is love in the air. You just have to be open to it.
Thank you for having us, sir.
Oh,
Thanks. I'm really enjoying this view.
That's meat, right?
Is this...
of course. It's vegan, dear. We wouldn't want to upset your little system.
No offense, Jeff, but I don't give a damn about your vegan lifestyle or whatever, right? What I do care about is making sure we get what we were promised here tonight.
Yes. $10,000.
Yes, Master Eric, we must remind you that you need to complete your whole evening in order to receive your remittance.
Damn, this is hot. Are you trying to kill me?
Please be careful, please. I wouldn't want you to get burned on my watch.
So the whole evening, how many courses are we talking?
It's not a question of time, Miss Cindy. You must complete your personal breakthrough, and then you'll get everything you deserve.
Yes, Cindy, it's true. You must stay and receive your own personal breakthrough. All of us. We must all stay and receive our breakthroughs.
Way back into the distant past, when Pete was like 15, he joined a mail-in movie club, 11 days for pennies. And now cut to 2025, the movie club caught on to Pete's life, and now they want to punish him, so they trapped him in a room with a bunch of movie tapes. Pete didn't want to pay for the movies he got in the 90s. He'll have to watch random horror tapes and tell us about gore and probably some rape. Now keep in mind, Pete didn't pick. They use random numbers and a long list. He's got to get through every movie, one each day for the time we can't foresee. Helpful snowman roll call. Anxiety. Grouchiness, entropy, snow. If you're wondering why he did this song and other FAQ facts, just shut up and listen to this show, or fuck it, take a nice nap. It's Helpful Snowman Podoween 2025.
Well, hello, listeners. It's me, Pete. I probably sound a little different today, and will probably sound even more a little more different, because I'm coming at you. I've been granted some yard time by Columbia House Movie Club, which has indungeoned me for not paying things back. If we all remember, that's the premise that we've been on for the last couple weeks or whatever. But I've been permitted some time to get some exercise in the yard. Actually, I've been forced to get some exercise in the yard. You know, I couldn't decide, because at first I was like, oh, well, that's nice. At least they're letting me, they care about my health or whatever. But then I was like, I don't know. I've just been sitting down in a dungeon for the last 2 weeks. And in some ways, that's probably improved my ability to enjoy the movies, because they just kind of wash over you. You know what I mean? I'm not mentally sharp right now. I'm not at my whatever, which I suspect is the actual motive for having me get some exercise. Is they're like, let's make sure he's cognitively as, I was going to say as sharp as he can be, but that's kind of like saying, let's make sure that this basketball is as sharp as it could be. The edge is honed. The edge of this basketball is as honed as possible. I've been using some of my time while I'm supposedly watching these movies, trying to remember the exact tapes that I actually got from Columbia House Movie Club in order to put myself in this situation. Don't mind me being out of breath pretty soon, because I'll be jogging. But, for people who don't listen to this show, this will be weird. And for people who do, it's not that unusual. But anyway, I was trying to remember the tapes that I had. And I even thought I had seen recently a picture of my bedroom from when I was that age, and you could see part of I had, a little wooden rack to keep movies on. But I honestly don't really remember all of the tapes I got. I remember signing up for it. So I signed up for it because my friend Travis was told me his mom did the math and it was a good deal. And you come out on top. And I think that's probably true for people who had discipline. You know what I mean? Somebody who could say, okay, what I need to do is get these 11 movies for pennies and then be judicious about buying the other 4 tapes and get decent deals on those. Not buy any other tapes that I didn't want. Not buy a copy of Batman and Robin. And, then you probably come out on top. And probably not majorly on top. You know what I mean? It's probably not half the price of buying all those tapes, but maybe it saves you $40 at the end of the day. So, it's probably a situation where, because something a lot of people don't remember is that it used to be buying VHS tapes was super expensive. They were not cheap. The thing that made them cheap was the DVD, right? DVDs came out and then they were super expensive. I did have an incident too where Pete being dumb about the future. So I had bought, the first movie I ever bought on DVD was Blade, starring Wesley Snipes as Blade. I bought it on DVD and watched it at my dad's house. He had a DVD player. But my mom's house, where we spent most of our time, there was no DVD player to be had. So, I had this DVD of Blade. It was the only DVD of all the movies I had at that time. And I probably had, over the years I was really, really into movies, I would say I collected somewhere 30 movies-ish, maybe. And so without a DVD player, I was like, this was a dumb idea to buy this. And what I ended up doing to sort of rectify that was I sold it to my friend Travis. Well, I didn't sell it. I think we exchanged. He had the VHS, I had the DVD, and I was like, what about a trade? And he had access to a DVD player, so he's like, yeah. He made good decisions and I did not. So I didn't get taken advantage of there at all. It was more like I made a dumb decision and then I kind of fixed it by kind of making an also dumb decision. Maybe. I don't know. So anyway, I've been racking I looked for the photo, couldn't find it. So I couldn't confirm which movies I had. But I do remember when they came, because the day they came in the mail, I was waiting and waiting, and they finally show up, right? And it was the same day we were supposed to leave for a family road trip to Yellowstone, to the set of Yellowstone. No, Yellowstone National Park. And so I get this box of tapes, right? And I'm I don't know, 15. And so, you're 15. You're not that hot on going on family trips. And I especially, because, Yellowstone, I was like, it seems like an outdoor hiking vacation. And while that wasn't something I enjoyed, or while it was something I would enjoy later in life, not something I enjoyed at that time. I hated hiking when I was a kid. I hated it. And I think maybe one of my many toxic traits is still being on my own side about not enjoying hiking as a kid and then having a pretty big turnaround and enjoying it as an adult. And here's why. I think, number one, like, you don't really, when you're a kid, I think there's a little less getting away from it all kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, now I get it. Like, when I'm off work or something and I don't touch anything related to work for like 4 days, it's like amazing. Like, just that is amazing. And hiking is kind of nice for doing wilderness activities because you're like, yeah, I mean, I couldn't even do that shit if I wanted to. But as a kid, I don't know if there's as much appreciation of that. There's not as much need for it, right? You're like, what am I getting away from all of? All my goddamn movies I just bought. But number two is, and like, harsh. This is a little harsh. But like, when you're a kid, you go hiking with your family. And like, I enjoyed more when I was a little older and I went with friends because I was like, well, these are people who I've chosen to spend time with and like who I don't know them that well. You know what I mean? I haven't spent the last 15 years of my life with them all the time. Like, what are we going to talk about? And when you're 15, that's hard. Like, as an adult, yeah, I could go on a hike and be like, okay, you know, we'll have things to talk about. I wouldn't think about that. I wouldn't worry about it. But as a kid, I was like, it's just fucking boring. You drive super long to the woods. You walk around in those woods. Then you drive super long back home. And then you're back home. And then what? You sit around and you're like, what a hike that was. Guys, remember on that hike earlier today when we were hiking? Anyway, I'm not going to pretend like I wasn't a little dickhead about it, but I will say it's a semi-defensible position. You know, one of the regrets I have about not having, well, one regret I have is saying the word regret instead of regret. But another regret I have about not having kids is like, man, I would not make those kids hike. I'd be like, yeah, that's boring for kids. Like, I get it now. As an adult, you like stupid shit sometimes. Like you go out, you're like taking a run, and you're like, wow, look at the leaves changing color. But as a kid, I was always like, who gives a crap? What did you think they were going to do? It's weird because as an adult, you've seen it more times, but it becomes more interesting. Or like, I just saw a hawk in the park just now. The park that's inside the facility, I mean. And it's notable, it's cool, right? But as a kid, I was just like, I don't give a shit, I've seen a million birds. You know what I mean? I can put in, well, I can't Google it, but when I was a kid, but I could put in Microsoft Encarta Encyclopedia CD-ROM and Encarta hawks and see, you know, I don't know why it works that way, but it does. So anyway, there were other factors that had me poised to deeply not enjoy taking a family road trip to Yellowstone, right? But it was definitely heightened when my movies showed up, and I didn't even have time to watch a single one before we left. And I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. You know what I mean? Like, how could this be? How could this happen this way? I do believe I briefly angled to stay home with my with my precious movies instead of going on the vacation, which is, I'm not sure if my mom was just like, fuck ass no, or if she was more like, you could if you want to destroy all my feelings. I don't know. But I went. I went one way or the other and had to wait like 5 days to crack open my movies. What are my memories of Yellowstone, you might be asking? Probably not. But if you were, mostly everything. There's a lot of stuff that was pretty burned down still when I was there. And you could kind of tell if you were getting close to a thing because it smelled like sulfur. And we stayed in a motel that did not have a television, which is also something my mom distinctly remembers. Because she's like, I don't know if she said it at the time, but even now she's like, it would have been nice to have a TV because it's not like we were not doing stuff because we stayed to watch TV. She's like, we would head out and be out all goddamn day doing Yellowstone-y stuff, looking at things, smelling stuff. And then you come back and it's like, just gonna chill in the hotel room for an hour before you go to sleep. Be kind of nice to just watch some TV. So anyway, I think there's a really high probability that one of the movies, or maybe even two, where Austin Powers is, I'm sure I had Austin Powers 1 and 2 on VHS. So there's a great chance that one or two of the initial movies were that. It's possible that Die Hard was in there. And then there's one movie that I remember was absolutely for sure in there. And it was, drumroll please, Escape from LA. The John Carpenter Escape from New York sequel. Most people remember not fondly, and that I fucking loved when I saw it, and then still have an affection for. I know probably a lot of purists are shitting themselves, but hear me out. I had never seen Escape from New York because I was a child, but my dad did take us to see Escape from LA. And so for me, Escape from LA being my first exposure, it was my first glimpse into the world of Snake Plissken, which, Kurt Russell's great. If there's ever been, an opportunity to do another movie with a much older, grizzled version of the hero, I think the Escape franchise is the way to go. And if there's ever been a series that, John Carpenter did, if there's ever been a movie he did that I don't think I want to see rebooted, it's probably that one. Just because I think it has a lot to lose if it doesn't have the 1980s-ness and the 1990s-ness. But also, I just think without Kurt Russell in that role, it's just not going to be the same. But anyway, the other thing is, that was probably also my first John Carpenter movie. And it is like a rich little world of doings that transpiring. Now, I think a lot of people probably also dislike it because Escape from LA is a lot of the same things happen as an Escape from New York. I mean, it's almost a one-to-one reboot. It's almost its own reboot, I guess. But if you've never seen Escape from New York and never even heard of it, this is all new and amazing and great. Kurt Russell's still awesome. The ending is awesome. I don't know. I think that movie, if I was the kind of person who was like, my hot takes, things, Escape from LA, I'd be like, way better than people give it credit for. I guess especially, my opinions have been probably worsened on movies by being punished the way I have been so far this month. Because, I don't know, I was watching something yesterday and I was like, into it because I was like, at this point, something that's kind of just a movie, that's kind of enough for me. It's kind of enough for it to be like, well, it's got some characters in it, and I understand what they're doing, and I understand the words they're saying, and it's competently made in that when there's a shot of a thing, I understand what is in the frame. So, I'm like, this is a solid 7 out of 10. It must be if you work in a middle school and you're grading middle school essays, I bet most of the novels you read, you probably don't have a whole lot of man, that was really trashy and poorly written. Because even something is, not great, you're probably I understood what was happening from moment to moment, so A+. A+, James Patterson. You've done it again. So, that's the only tape that I for sure actually remember getting from Columbia House. Just 10 other mystery tapes with some, likelies in there as well. But yeah, all this punishment is all for 10 tapes I don't even remember, plus Escape from LA. If only I knew. If only that young man knew. Hey, you shouldn't try and scheme this club because you'll be thrown in a dungeon and be forced to watch movies like Love Hurts, or it has another title, Bad Things, Many Bad Things, something like that. I don't know what it is with so many of these sort of crappy movies that they have multiple titles. I don't understand. It's got to be something. I can't decide if this is something that happens because, okay, I make a super indie movie and then I'm going to put it on Amazon Prime or whatever, which has a lot of bullshit on it, if you're willing to get out a shovel. But, and then I go to put it on there and someone's like, yeah, that's already a movie title because there's a billion total bullshit movies on here that you didn't know about. So I'm like, oh, Christ. Okay, what about this title, So then it has a second title. And then it's like, okay, well, you could put it on here with both titles. So if the title is technically Love Hurts / Bad Things or something, you can get away with that. And then that's the full official title, I guess we'll allow it. Or I can't decide if it's that or if it's the filmmakers attempting a scam, which is like maybe you're trying to put it on services or get it in festivals or some shit. And everyone's like, ew, no. And so then you re-release it, you get a better poster made, you change the title, and you're like, maybe they won't remember that this got the no. It's got the red pen came out and they drew all over the TV screen. It was that unacceptable. I don't know which of these two things it is, but it's probably one or both of them. So, Love Hurts is a lot like a movie I also saw recently called Would You Rather. The premise of Would You Rather is some lady has a cancer brother, and the cancer brother is like costing everyone a lot of money. And so she is talking to his doctor, and the doctor is like, I want to introduce you to somebody. And it's Jeffrey Combs, Bruce Campbelling it up with a smarmy mustache. And it's Jeffrey Combs doing his best impression of Bruce Campbell doing Jeffrey Combs, which is a multi-layered reference that no one needs to understand. But I needed to say it because I need to make sense of what I saw. And Combsable, Bruce Jeffrey Combs, heads up this foundation. And he's like, here's the deal. If you need a lot of money to fix your brother so he's decancered. And by the way, this is just me repeating it as I think the movie understood it. You know, because this is the thing shitty movies do, is they're just like, what's a medical thing we could make this brother have that's expensive? And everyone's first answer is the same, because it's like, yeah, why look up some weird shit? You know what I mean? Just do this. It's fine. Why not look up some weird condition and be like, yeah, insurance companies won't pay for it because, you know, they aren't required to or something. Oh, shit. Okay. It's trying to make me go back inside, but I'm not done with this review, so I'm going to sprint away and not talk for a second. Please hang on. Okay. So, anyway, he's like, if you want to fix your brother, my foundation can do that. There's a catch, though. You have to come to a dinner party. At the dinner party, we play a game, and the winner of the game, you know, will be everything's provided for them. It'll all be perfect. And the doctor's like, I can vouch for that because he helped me, you know, in this way. And so she's like, of course, at first she's like, nah, I don't think so. And then she's like, all right, JK. Then she, you know, we have a brief scene where it's like, oh, right, the money. And then she changes her mind back. Okay, I need to do another sprint to get a little more distance. Okay. So she goes to the dinner party. And of course, because we read the title of the movie, it's kind of impossible not to. We know what's going on. And it's a game of Would You Rather. But of course, it's a cruel, murderous version where it's stuff like, would you rather cut your eye open with a razor or, you know, I don't know, stab someone? And, you know, it goes on and on. I actually really dislike the label of torture porn, because I don't think many of the movies that are often cited as being that really are that. But this movie is probably one of the closer versions I've seen to it, just in that there's not much to the movie other than watching people do the horrible things. You know what I'm saying? So there's not a lot else going on there. And the motive is pretty dumb. And yeah, I don't like lending credence to that genre label, but if someone said that about Would You Rather, I'd be less mad than, when someone says that about entries 1 through 3 of the Saw franchise. All right, sprint, escape. I can smell them. They're very close. They smell like acetate, whatever tape's made out of. So anyway, that movie is basically about, they go and they have to make some choices, and there's some twists of, oh my God, I didn't know this would happen. It's definitely a movie that I wish I could see with no idea of what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I would probably have some idea that this was sinister and be like, maybe you shouldn't go to the dinner party because I'm still watching a movie. But it would be kind of fun if there was some way, maybe if I was like super rich, I would task someone with like sending me to movies that they think I would like and telling me nothing about them. And I show up to the theater, they've purchased the ticket for me, I don't even know the title. And then I sit down and just watch. Let it unfold. One more sprint. So I don't know. I just feel like something about the movie going experience, or the movie being forced to watch in a dungeon experience, is just a little bit worse when, I know I'm watching a horror movie called Would You Rather. So what I'm going to have to suffer through is a little bit of time where they establish that the game is Would You Rather and sort of a reason for everyone to be playing the game, and so on and so forth. And that's usually kind of boring, right? That would be something I think that Saw did was much smarter, which is like, we start in the game and things are spooled out from there. So we're like already in it and become suspicious of, everyone involved as it moves on. So there's like weird pink things all over my porch. Oh, they're flowers. They're flowers that I planted. I can see my porch from here. That's part of the torture, so that I can see where I live from the dungeon. Isn't that extra torturous and not just a mistake I made in trying to explain what was going on? So let's forget that and just move on. I don't want to dwell on the worst parts of this. So, Love Hurts is a similar idea. A mysterious benefactor, I guess, invites a bunch of single people to a Valentine's dinner and is basically like, I'll pay you a bunch of money to come to this dinner. And then they get there and it's a bunch of, very generic looking people, except for the host, who is, I'm not sure if the host is trans or a drag queen. I don't know how this person identifies in real life. I don't have that information. No one had scrawled it on the wall in the dungeon, so just know I would probably say drag queen, or should I say trans man? What seems more like what was happening? I'm gonna say trans man. So trans man is the host, and when I say like people are pretty generic and stuff, this person is also quite generic other than being a trans person. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of like appearance and gender standing in for personality in a movie. Which, whatever. You know what? You do you, man. And the premise ends up being like everyone who's there needs to have what the trans person calls a breakthrough. Yeah, I wish I could just come up with a shorter name. I wish I could remember the goddamn name of this person. Let's just say RuPaul. Let's just call this no, that's not a trans person, is it? Jazz. But it's not Jazz. It's not Jazz Jennings, so let's call it easy listening Jennings. What's like elevator music? Pop. Let's call him Pop. Pop tells everyone they have to have a breakthrough. And so what but that's kind of not super specific. But once they have their breakthrough, they can leave. So everybody is kind of like, I don't know what the fuck that means. And then they have different events occur. A person finds out that we find out that this guy, his fiance cheated on him, and it turned out the guy that his fiance cheated on him with is also at the party. And so then I guess his breakthrough is forgiving that guy or something. And so the whole time we're kind of thinking this evil Pop is like, I don't know, sadistic, basically. But maybe things are not as they appear. So then the evil Trans-Popperian orchestra starts basically, people start getting violent with each other and killing each other and stuff like that, because I don't know. That's how this is all set up. And that happens for a little while. But then we find out in the last 20 minutes, this is a horror movie that I put in the category I call a last 20 minutes movie, which is almost nothing happens. And then they tell the entire story in the last 20 minutes. And like the big issue I take with those kinds of movies is that I'm like, you had 90 minutes of you committed 90 minutes of story to film or whatever, SD card. And if you're going to commit 90 minutes to SD card, why not give me stuff? Why not make stuff happen for 90 minutes? You know what I'm saying? If all you needed was 20 minutes of stuff, maybe just do a 20-minute movie. But no, I'm not a filmmaker. I'm just a film forced to watch guy. So, there's this, I hesitate to even call them twists. I think we've given a lot of shit to M. Night Shyamalan for ooh, what a twist. You know what I mean? That kind of thing, sort of Family Guy, simple joke. Or maybe that was a South Park thing, or who the fuck knows. But I think that, I don't know, I think we gave him too much shit for that, because in his movies where that worked, it was good. You know what I mean? And they're movies that are very watchable, and they're kind of interesting, and they're weird. And I found them entertaining, which is, I think, the main purpose of a movie is to, entertain people. I know, call me crazy. But, and then a movie like this, though, it kind of does the M. Night Shyamalan, the worst sort of version of him. And the twist isn't very good. It's not interesting. You don't care about anyone who's involved. You know what I mean? You're not like invested in anything that's happened. It's just sort of a thing that happened on a screen that was in front of you, as opposed to being a movie that you were interested in and watching. I didn't feel like I was watching this movie. I felt like I was watching a filmmaker figure out what their movie was going to be. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they were like, we actually conceived and filmed 3 different endings, and we couldn't pick which one to do, so we just kind of, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and picked an ending. So, it turns out that Pop was also being forced to do this. So Pop was guilty in as much as they were doing something they shouldn't have. But, it was because the real puppet master was holding Pop's significant other hostage in a room somewhere and was like, make these people go through this breakthrough nonsense. Otherwise, I'll kill this person. Probably the stakes we're looking at. So that's that movie. It was a real nothing of a movie. It was a utterly forgettable. It didn't even have, like, Would You Rather, I would say, the main memorable thing about it was Jeffrey Combs. And you're like, well, you got him. I think that they made that movie and they spent wisely. You know what I mean? They're like, we have one room. We're going to have a bunch of people in that room. We're going to have one, horror iconish person. And we're going to have a couple other actors who you've probably seen. The dad from Home Alone was in it for 10 minutes. And, as the first one dispatched because you're like, yeah, that makes sense. He was probably the most expensive person. He probably wouldn't do the movie except you were like, hey, listen, Mr. McAllister, come do this movie. You only have to be here for 1 day of shooting. We're going to get you out of the movie right away by killing you. And, you can move on with your life. And he's like, all right, I'll do it. I got this kid I keep leaving home alone, and the court fees resulting from that are killing me. But Love Hurts just didn't have the resources for that. And I understand. But, I'm like, well, I think you got to put in something. You got to give me something, man. It's like I'm getting with these movies, like, I want them to succeed. I don't want to get on here and talk about how they weren't good. But I'm like, you got to give me something, man. You got to give me something that I can say about this movie to be like, it's worth this. Or, the first movie I watched, Action Danger USA Mind Trap, whatever, that was another 2-title one, right? At least that movie, it was like, it had one sequence where they had the clapper on. And so when people were machine gunning an old man, the lights were turning on and off. And I was like, that's dumb, but there's something. A thing happened. Something happened that required someone to say, hey, I have an idea. And this really didn't feel like that to me. Something that Would You Rather and Love Hurts had in common was having a butler who is kind of the muscle for the whole thing and kind of like facilitating everything. It's always very unclear in these movies how the butler, what's their involvement in the whole thing? How do you convince a butler how do you find that guy to be like, hey, you'd be fine just like shooting people and stuff, right? Like, that's not a problem for you. If I was that guy, even if I was fine shooting people, I might be like, yeah, but here's the thing. Like, if you invite all these people over and I'm watching you just have them shot and, there's no consequences falling on you, there's absolutely nothing preventing that from happening to me, right? Like, if I displease you one day, there's really no reason to think that I won't suffer the same fate, right? So, like, yeah, I'm probably going to sit out that job interview. You know what I mean? Probably going to find a good excuse to not go. Anyway, I don't know. I guess I would rate this movie. I'm going to use a would you rather system for this movie. And the system is, would you rather watch this movie or would you rather watch Would You Rather? And my answer, of course, is I would rather watch Would You Rather. Okay, well, my exercise time is over and then some. And they're about to catch up with me and put me back in my cell to watch more goddamn movies. So thanks for coming out to yard time with me today. I hope you all have a good rest of your day and that so far this month I'm providing you some great options of things to not watch and that you continue to not watch them. That's my sincere hope for you, in your life. All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's hopeful snowman Podoween 2025.